I remember it was New Year's Eve. I was a caterer at a high-end hotel, and it was a New Year's Eve wedding. So I was gonna be there late at night, and I knew I would be there early in the morning. And I was just thinking to myself, I really hate this. So I texted you, I said, give me a reason I should leave.
I was in college and I was simultaneously thinking about building a business. And I remember sitting in class and asking my professor if he had ever owned his own business, and he said no. And I was like, why am I learning from somebody that has never built a successful business? And so I decided to go home, drop out of all of my classes, which was the scariest decision that I ever made, and just go all in on my dreams. It's been a story and an example of seeing what's possible when you're all in. And like, I know, like you hit that breaking point, and when you texted me, I had a feeling, I was like, there are big things that are about to happen right now, because when you hit that breaking point and then you go all in, that is where it happens. And sometimes it just takes getting pushed to that edge of like, I'm done with this, and this is where I'm headed. And I mean, you are an amazing story of success, and it's just getting started.
Welcome to Green Beans Go. I'm your host, Claudio Rivera, and on today's episode, I have a very special guest. This is my coach. He's the one who has helped transform this business from me working all by myself as pretty much a solo entrepreneur to having a large team of full-time employees. He is a mindset and business strategist and a very good friend of mine. So Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Claudio, and thank you so much for having me on this show. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, to think that we started the business in Palm Beach, and now we're starting to get clients out in Los Angeles and the Hamptons, and that's opening up whole new opportunities where we can be with each other one-on-one. Really looking forward to being in California more often.
Yeah, this is a really beautiful state, and so many opportunities here.
Yeah. So Ryan, people who maybe have never heard your story, would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are?
Absolutely. So my story began when I asked myself what I think is one of the most important questions that any human being can ask themselves throughout life. I mean, it really began in my teens. I had an existential crisis, and I was asking myself, what do I want to do when I grow up for a calling? And you know, there's a certain age, and some people experience it at 16, some experience at 40, 60, I even know 70-year-olds that experience this, but there's a moment in our life where we ask ourselves the question, why am I here? What am I meant for? And I was asking myself this question of what's my purpose? And I didn't know. Like when I was thinking about what I wanted to do when I grew up, I had no clue. And I thought I could either be a cop, a teacher, or a doctor. And I knew that I wasn't smart enough to be a doctor. And I didn't really want to be a cop, and I didn't really want to be a teacher. So I walked into my mom's room and I started crying. And I said, Mom, I have no clue what I want to be when I grow up. And she said, Ryan, just say a prayer. And in that moment, you know, that's not the answer I wanted to hear. I wanted her to tell me, yeah, like this is what you're probably meant for. But I laid in bed that night and I said a prayer. And the last, 10, 11 years has been the answer to that prayer. And it has been beyond what I could have ever imagined. A few weeks after I said that prayer, I saw a video by a guy who goes by the name of Alan Watts. And he asked a question in that video that changed my life forever. He said, what would you do if money didn't exist? And I started thinking about, if I were to make my life not about chasing the money, but living my purpose, what would I do? And I decided, all right, I'm just gonna write on a piece of paper what my purpose is. The first thing that comes to my mind, I'm just gonna write it down. And I wrote down my purpose is, and what came through was to help people create fulfillment, because that's what fulfills me the most. And I realized that as long as I'm helping people, I'm living my purpose. Shortly after I got clear on my purpose, I was in college, and I was simultaneously thinking about building a business. And I remember sitting in class and asking my professor if he had ever owned his own business, and he said no. And I was like, why am I learning from somebody that has never built a successful business? And so I decided to go home, drop out of all of my classes, which was the scariest decision that I ever made, and just go all in on my dreams. And in that moment, it was scary, but I felt the most free that I had ever felt in my entire life. And when I dropped out of my old life, when I dropped out of the life that I should be living, and I dropped into my purpose fully and authentically, that's when God, life, and the universe started opening up opportunities that I couldn't have ever imagined possible. I had the opportunity to learn and be mentored by Lewis Howes in one of his programs.
Wow.
I went to transformational trainings and upgraded my mindset and did the inner work, became confident. And then I met a series of mentors that helped me to make a full-time living doing what I loved, which was helping people, coaching people. I built a fitness coaching business that evolved to mindset, business strategy, and now it's evolving into content creation and impact at scale.
Let's go.
So, and you know, the ability to coach game changers and world changers like yourself.
Yeah.
And it's been fulfilling beyond belief. So my entire life so far has been about following that calling and developing myself to be the greatest expression of myself along the way in service of others.
You definitely are doing what your calling is to do, to help people find fulfillment. For people listening, for people watching, they see Studio 910 today. We've gone from Florida to nationwide. But, just a year ago, or maybe it was a little bit longer than that, I remember it was New Year's Eve, and there's a text message. And I remember it was a wedding. I was a caterer at a high-end hotel, and it was a New Year's Eve wedding. So I was going to be there late at night, and I knew I would be there early in the morning. And I was just thinking to myself, I really don't like doing this. I have a comfortable wage that I can look forward to making, but I really hate this. And I knew I had all these, I had all this camera equipment, I had experience, with making videos, but I did not have, the guts to go and do it. So I texted you, I said, give me a reason I should leave. I should leave my job and go all in on my passion, or all in on my dream. And I remember you said that you can only go so far doing something that you don't enjoy, versus if you do something that truly fulfills you, really, there is no limit to how much fulfillment and how much, of a life you can create. So that message stuck with me. I stayed at the job, but it was always in my mind. And it was those frustrating moments at work that I would think about that. And then, finally, I quit my job. I went all in and, made the investments. And since then, the business has taken off, and I'm super grateful. But, what was it like seeing me then and seeing me now? Because you've coached me as well along the way once I was able to make those investments.
Well, it was both an answer to a prayer and a miracle unfolding, and I'll share with you what that means. So when I was going on a trip to, I have a very deep relationship with God, and when I went on the trip out to La Jolla where we met, I said a prayer, and I was like, please connect me with somebody who is talented on video, because I had inspirations around videos that I wanted to create.
Yeah.
And I was walking down the sidewalk, and I run into you, and
years ago.
You are, you're traveling with Kelly, you're doing odd jobs to make money. Yeah. And I remember we met because you taught me, what was it, ukulele?
Odd jobs.
And I just remember connecting with you and seeing you and being like, at this time you were a kid, so I'll say it, this kid has something really special about him, really special. And I couldn't exactly put my finger on what it was, but I just knew, I'm like, this is a really special, unique being. And I knew that, I just had to be of contribution to you however I could. I just knew there was something really special about you. And the reason why I say miracle is because you are the example of somebody that creates an unbelievable life.
Wow.
Meaning a life that is so big, where you're accomplishing and creating so much so fast that it's unbelievable. And you've always had a gift for video. the videos that you've done for me have been my most viewed, like some of my most viewed videos. I remember seeing the videos that you made for me even very early on and being like, Claudio has a way of extracting the magic of the essence that you share and turning it into a work of art. And that's exactly what you did for me. And so although I wasn't surprised that you would build Studio 910 as fast as you did and up to the level that you have with the help of your team and the help of Kelly, like, I have been in awe of what you have created so far, and it's exciting to see that it's really just the beginning. So it's been a story and an example of seeing what's possible when you're all in. And like, I know, like, you hit that breaking point, and when you texted me, I had a feeling, I was like, there are big things that are about to happen right now, because when you hit that breaking point and then you go all in, that is where it happens.
Yeah.
People spend so much time stuck at that place of like, I'm afraid to take the leap, like, I'm afraid to leap. But then when they do, God, life, the universe, however you choose to see it, meets you halfway. And if only the version of you that was working at that job that you weren't fulfilled by, like, if you knew what would happen, you would have acted a lot sooner. Same with me.
So much sooner.
But it takes that leap of faith, and I think, the timing was perfect, and sometimes it just takes getting pushed to that edge of like, I'm done with this, and this is where I'm headed. And I mean, you are a amazing story of success, and it's just getting started.
Thank you. Our main clientele is high profile realtors, and we meet a lot of agents who are working part-time, who are, they have their license, but they're also serving tables. What do you say to the realtor that has their license, is serving tables, but their dream is to go all in and become a full-time realtor?
I would say to do the absolute best you can with what you have. Make the most out of every spare minute that you have to work in your business, to invest in your business, and learn from people who, like, the shortcut is mentorship.
Yes.
So learn from people who have walked the path, whether it's in that industry or a parallel industry. Like, learn from those people who walk the path. But there is that moment when you need to take that leap and when you need to go all in. And I know there are very real risks, but the biggest risk that exists is the risk of an unfulfilled life. The risk of living a life where you get to the end of your life and you reflect on how your life went and you go, I played 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I played it safe. What would have happened if I went all in? And you acting now and going all in to the best of your capacity now and risking and betting on you,
Betting yourself,
is the greatest thing. And a lot of people hesitate because of the fear of failure, but the fear of failure is an illusion, because failure is only failure if you quit. But if you decide, I'm going to learn and I'm going to view failure as feedback, then it just always become learning. And so it's like you either succeed or you learn. And so it's like, I can either act and hit the mark, or I can learn and become a better version of myself. I used to be so terrified of the fear of failure. Like, it crippled me. And I had it running in my head like a tape. What if I fail? What if I fail? What if I fail? And it didn't change until I actually answered that question of what if I do? And I was like, okay, what if I fail? And it was like, well, it would suck, and then I would learn, and then what would happen? Well, I would try again. What if I failed? And I actually had a realization that I would rather fail for my entire life, never taste success, fail for my entire life, and look back on my life and know that I had the courage to go for it, than to fail by default by not going for it at all. And when I realized that, it set me free from the fear of failure. So that's what I would say.
When you take risk, like when we took the initial risk with our business, first risk was we have this crazy cart, a fantasy cart on B&H Photo. It's $30,000. We have $30,000. Should we spend it? We went ahead and spent it, and that has helped the business 10x, completely. And their other risk was, well, I have this job I hate, but it pays my bills. So we went all in. And for the realtors that we're working with, the people who've really succeeded at the highest level, we've heard their stories, right? We've gotten to know them. They've taken those risks and went all in. And a lot of the realtors we're working with are selling over $100 million a year. I mean, a lot of the agents we're working with have done $100 million year to date. Mm-hmm. And there's something very special about these people, right? These individuals, there's a passion for excellence. Mm-hmm. And we see it firsthand because we're working with these people, but you also see it firsthand because you're mentoring and coaching the same kind of clientele mm-hmm. all over the country. My question to you is, what makes that certain type of individual who really is, they don't just go all in, they go way in, because it can maybe spark curiosity or spark inspiration to somebody to get to the next level. What is that one thing that some people have?
It's awareness. Mm. And that might not be the answer that you expected, but they operate from a certain level of consciousness. It's about being aware of how sacred this opportunity that we have in this life is. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they go through life and they take things for granted, and they're operating from a degree of unconsciousness. But when you stop and you slow down and you realize that this life is such a big opportunity, and as far as we know, we have one of them. Mm. As far as we know, we have one. Mm. And so it's from now to whenever that time is where you leave, what are you going to create? What impact are you going to leave? How are you going to make the world different because you were here? Mm-hmm. And it's also about empathy and looking at the world around us and recognizing that the people who we talk about today, who we remember, who we talk about, are the people who cared enough about themselves, are the people who cared enough about others mm-hmm. to go beyond themselves and make a difference. Mm. So it's not just the awareness of my own life and my own mortality, but it's also the awareness of there's a lot of work that gets to be done on this planet, and the fact that I'm here, I can make a difference. And so those people know that they have something in them where they can make a tangible difference while they're here on the planet. Yeah. And so that is a really big factor that drives them. Something that's more innate is just this relentless, there's a certain group of beings on this planet where there's a relentless hunger to fulfill your potential. Mm. And I know that you feel that. Yeah. And if you identify that and you relate with that, you are one of those people. And the more that you can fuel that fire of achieving my potential, expressing my potential, and enjoying the process along the way, the more fulfilling your life is going to be.
I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is there are very few amount of people on this planet who recognize their potential, they have the awareness to do that, and then will actually take action.
Yeah, there's compared to the masses, there are few, and they're a very special and important group of people. And I believe, I spend a lot of time looking around at the world and people and humanity, and why am I called to elevate people? Mm-hmm. And it's we're all here to support one another. We're all here to evolve as a species, whether that's physically or spiritually or however you want to see it. We're here to grow together. Mm-hmm. And so yes, there aren't that many people who are in that mindset now, but hundreds of years from now, thousands of years from now, because of the difference that we make, there will be many more. Mm.
It's crazy because when I'm seeing, right, we're looking at the direct messages, they come in all the time. A lot of them are clients, but there's a lot of photographers, a lot of people that have seen our growth, they've seen our videos, they've seen the work that we've made. And they always ask, what do I have to do to get started? Do you have any advice for whether it's a photographer or for a realtor or for somebody that wants to start something? What's your advice for somebody to get started?
That's such a good question, because that's so common that people will ask, and there's this limiting mindset that's why do people make taking action so hard? Like, people are addicted to thinking that they don't know what to do. And it's like, you know what to do. Like, it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
And so I would say, that's a great question to start at, but rather than, asking others is a great idea, but like really focus on asking yourself and trusting yourself. We have an epidemic of a lack of self-trust with people on this planet who want to make their dreams happen. Like, their self-trust has been fractured. And that's like a lot of work that I do with the people that I work with, is like developing unstoppable self-trust and confidence so that they can take those actions. But what I want to say around that is, you can trust yourself and ask yourself these questions like, yeah, what can I do to get one step closer to success? Trust what intuition comes through. Trust what ideas pop in your mind, and take action on them. And rather than not thinking about that and asking somebody else, maybe you take some action and let them know, hey, I've done this, this, and this. What's missing here? If you're not progressing, if you're not moving forward, that is a much more resourceful way of going about doing things. I think a lot of people, and I'm not necessarily saying this from judgment, but a lot of people are lazy thinkers. They don't take the time to think and strategize about how they can actually create success. And they just kind of like see other people doing it, and they're like, hey, can you help me? And oftentimes, it depends on who you reach out with, but oftentimes if you reach out to someone who's crushing it, they might not have the time to help you. So you've got to help yourself first.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we get messages like that every day, and we do our best to get back to people. But yeah, people have to think. I remember, not that we were overthinking, but I remember really thinking through like, what can we do to get to the next level? Even now that we're serving nationwide, it's like, well, what's next? Like, how can we continue to develop this? What can we do to bring this to the next level? So that's a really great point that you make, Ryan. Ryan, when you are working with people and you're working with entrepreneurs, do you have advice for entrepreneurs to continue developing? Is there something that a lot of people don't do that if they knew to do this, they would do better?
It's a really great question. Yeah. So there's a way of thinking, you can actually, here, I'll start here. I actually coached a client on this earlier today. You have to get connected to your why, because there are many different elements of success. There's energetics, there's mindset, there's action, there's strategy. But a lot of people are actually missing the energetic piece. And a question to ask yourself is like, are you absolutely lit up by your vision and where you're headed every single day? And if you're not, then there's an opportunity to activate yourself energetically. And how you do that is by really connecting with and reflecting on, what does an extraordinary life look like to me? Like, what is a life that I can imagine that's so big that it blows me away, that it inspires me, that it would move me to tears? Thinking about yourself, thinking about the people around you.
Yeah.
And connecting with that. And then after you connect with that vision, you want to think about, who am I living that vision? Who am I making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year, $5 million a year, $10 million a year, whatever it is that your goal is?
Yeah.
How does that version of me talk? How does that version of me walk? How does that version of me breathe? How does that version of me connect with the people around me? How does that version of me view myself?
Okay, yeah.
And then after you get connected to that version of you, a hack that you can do is you can ask yourself, how would that version of me navigate my life right now?
I understand.
So you're looking at your present life through the lens of the highest version of yourself. And the problems that you're struggling with, like, think about a problem that maybe you face today. The version of you 10 years from now that is, making way more money than you could possibly imagine, impacting millions and millions and millions of people. Like, how would they have navigated that? How would they have looked at that problem?
With a lot more confidence.
Yeah. So that's a nice little hack in thinking.
I love that. So, wow, that's just very powerful. Like, if I was to be, right, if my business was 3 years from now where I would like it to be, how would I react? How would I behave? How would I interact with my clients? What would I be focusing on?
Yeah.
That's very powerful.
And a lot of people are so busy in the day-to-day, they don't take the time to slow down. I know something that we've worked on together, slowing down to speed up. Something I learned from my mentor, Chris Hawker, is, sometimes you need to slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
You can only have the pedal to the metal for so long. And as achievers, we have this part of us where if we slow down, we feel guilty and we feel wrong and we feel unproductive.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that actually if we slow down and take care of ourselves and also look at the big picture, we can get years ahead in a very short period of time, because it's not necessarily about how many choices we're making, but it's about making the right choices that get us to that destination.
This trip, we're shooting in Bel Air, and we decided to come 2 days early. So we flew into Reno, went to Yosemite, went to Lake Tahoe, and I went on airplane mode. I responded to a few text messages, but besides that, my team was handling everything.
He really was on airplane mode, because you didn't even respond to me, and I was like, wow, this is different. This is new, and that's awesome.
And there's been things that have been challenging thoughts, like, what do I do here? And I never, I'm always responsive, so I never take the time to shut down, in terms of like my, how many people I'm talking to, and calls and emails. And there was a lot of things that I was not clear on, what should I do about this, that just naturally the answers came. And some of those answers were challenging, like, wow, like that's not what I was expecting, but I know for sure some things I need to do to keep moving forward. And something that I was thinking about was, the principle that your mentor taught you, that you shared with me, was slowing down to speed up. And I was like, okay, these are things I need to do in the business. For example, one thing is focusing on the podcast, right? Focusing on the podcast, something that can provide a lot of value to our clients, to our Instagram following, right? And what does that mean, slowing down, right? The podcast isn't necessarily income producing, right? Immediately. It's not income producing immediately, because there's an opportunity cost, right? Those 3 hours of shooting and setting up could be 3 hours shooting, or 3 hours doing business. And another thing that we are looking to do is to kind of something we're sharing for the first time now is we've nailed down branding for realtors, we've nailed down shooting real estate, but the next thing we want to do is create a one-of-a-kind Airbnb and VRBO service where we can shoot high-end, Airbnbs and VRBOs, and that's slowing down to speed up as we create a whole new portfolio and a whole new service. So that principle of slowing down to speed up has been so impactful for me, right? Actually practicing it, and actually not just practicing it, but being able to slow down and be like, hey, the podcast is a little bit of a slowdown, but it'll help us speed up.
Yep.
Can you explain to people, right? Or maybe even talk to the person who's moving really fast, right? Because they have places to be, they have, dreams to achieve. Please talk to the person, because I've been there, right? You helped me through this. Talk to the person listening who's just going, on 100 miles per hour. Tell them to slow down so they can speed up, but explain what it is and how they can do it.
Well, yeah, the first question that I would ask them, because if the idea of slowing down to speed up is attractive to them, it might be like attractive and repulsive, like I don't want to slow down, but like I kind of feel like I need to. Oftentimes it's people who are at the edge of burnout that are like, I need to just change something here. So the first question I'd ask them is, where do you see yourself a year from now if you don't slow down? And the answer is like, my face on the floor, burnt out, exhausted.
Yeah, that's why I had to take this trip.
Yeah, and so, let's start there. Okay, this isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. So what do I need to do to optimize my energy? And people don't realize just how much, they might be doing a lot, but oftentimes they don't even realize they're doing it from a scarce energy of like, I have to do a lot because if I don't, I'll fail. And so there's just this constant fear of failure. And so they're operating at this constant frequency of stress, which is horrible for your central nervous system and your energy. And so I would say, connect with the reason why you wanted to create this business in the first place. People don't create businesses to become exhausted. No. People create businesses so that they can have more freedom, so they can have more fulfillment, so they can create a greater level of meaning with their life. And oftentimes entrepreneurs get lost along the way. And so how you find yourself back is by finding your center. And so I would say, just start off, one of the best pieces of advice that one of my coaches gave me, that I hated him when he gave me this advice. I never took any days off. And he goes, how about you just like take a day off and do nothing? And I was like, I feel worthless if I do that. He's like, yeah, like what is that about? Like you aren't what you do. And I took a day off and I like enjoyed myself. And I was like, oh, like that's quite nice. I feel good. I feel re-energized. So oftentimes active self-care can be really helpful, like getting a massage or going into a float tank or doing like a sauna, cold plunge. Yeah. Because at least you kind of feel like you're doing something, or like going to the beach and getting out in nature. Yeah. But the reason why that is beneficial and supportive is because, first of all, if you don't have your health, you can't have a business. And secondly, you're going to build a much more profitable business if you are fulfilled and happy and lit up along the way. Yeah.
That principle, we were moving fast.
We've worked on that quite a bit. Yeah.
And we got the call, hey, we have this, for this listing in Bel Air, we'd love for you to shoot it. And I was thinking to myself, like, it was so impulsive. I was like, and I was really just going fast. So I was like, Bel Air is not that far from Lake Tahoe. So let's fly into Reno. And that's exactly what we did. We took those few days off and I feel a lot better. Like those answers that I was looking for, those answers have came to me. And even just slowing down in the business, right, not having to, we serve a lot of agents. We have a really, awesome business and clients that we love, but just slowing down, how much that we're going to do. So that way we can focus on things that, we believe in the long term will be super, super helpful. Ryan, you've helped so many people. You've helped myself. For people that maybe never get the opportunity to maybe connect with you or speak to you one-on-one. Yeah. What is overall advice that you would give to people, right? People who are looking to achieve what their goals are. Because you've helped me so much with achieving my goals. Is there anything that you would give to somebody that maybe they're never going to talk to you, but they hear this or they see a vertical clip?
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest regrets in the book, I think it's called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. One of the biggest regrets of the dying is not living a life that's true to me. And so I would say, first of all, discover what is a life that is true to you. What is your purpose? And start from there. Like that is the foundation, discovering what your purpose is, why you're here, what you feel called to do. That is the foundation. And then build yourself from there. And start with the small actions and the small steps that you can take daily to become a better version of yourself. Like you would be so surprised. Like you just start with one small habit, like meditation or working out consistently or journaling, like how much of a difference that can make. One of my clients, Amy Hobbs, she's a photographer as well. She decided to give herself challenges where she would challenge herself for 60 days. She's going to do a habit. She would give herself 60-day challenges. And the first one was working out every day. And she has worked out every day for like over 150 days already. Wow. Like she added in like breath work. She added in journaling. So giving yourself challenges will support you as well. But I would just say really simply, get clear on your purpose, get clear on your vision and the life that you want to live. Start finding people who are living that life and either invest financially to learn from them, invest your energy by adding value to their life so that they can mentor you and it's a fair relationship, or become really resourceful and find a way to make it happen if you are going to do it on your own. Yeah,
you mentioned mentorship is one of the best shortcuts to success. There's no doubt. Ray helped me. He was, he showed me I didn't have to just be a artist or just a cameraman. I could be a businessman as well. So I love that. That's been really impactful. Well, Ryan, it's amazing. We've connected. We've been connecting every single day, pretty much every single day. Yeah. From Florida to California, and we just had the really amazing opportunity for you to come, come out to LA for a quick interview, and it was super on the spot and spontaneous, and it's just been a pleasure. You've shared so much. You've helped my life out so much, even before you were coaching me, even before I was making the investments. Right, you were just pouring into my life, just from a place of generosity, early on. What do you have for people who are like, who have achieved success? Because you gave, you were way generous before I invested, right? And I know you talk a lot about being generous and giving. Any advice on giving?
Yeah, I would definitely say, well, one of the biggest laws of abundance is giving and generosity. I think the universe tends to act as a mirror, and the more generous we are with life, the more generous life is with us. And as Tony Robbins says, the secret to living is giving, and life supports that which supports life. And so, generosity is a big value of mine, and I do my best to be as generous as I possibly can. And I've always learned from the beginning, like, if you want to create something, give that which you want to create. Like, it's kind of counterintuitive, like, if you want to create business success, find ways to make people more successful. Like what Studio 910 does is you have created a vehicle to elevate the success and the brand of real estate agents. So when people in the industry or people who want to work with them see them, they are impressed and they're blown away. Like you have created a business helping them become more successful. So I would say focus on like whatever you want to create, give it. And you will be blown away at what comes back to you. I would also recommend giving without attachment. I think a big mistake that people make is they give with expectations, and that's actually giving from scarcity. That's a scarcity mindset, to give while expecting something in return. But the cleanest way to give is just give without expecting anything in return. And I know like, you have felt that from the beginning. Yeah. Like from the time that we met, you knew, you're like, he's not giving me something because he's like trying to get something from me. Like he's really invested in my success and my journey. And like that's something that is true to my heart, and something that the people who have changed my life the most are people who have come from that place, and I ended up paying them as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It always comes back around, and it is such a beautiful way to live life. It's so rare. The generosity of spirit is so rare, and if you can bring that into your business, into your client experiences, into your family, like you will become somebody that is remembered on this planet. You'll become somebody that makes history. The people who make history are the people who are the most generous.
I'm totally in agreement with that. And before we finish this, right, you're just such a, you have so much wisdom to share with people. You've shared with me, you've helped our business like crazy, but is there any advice or anything you haven't mentioned today that it's really on your heart, and before we go, that you'd love to share with people? Any last moment speech or bits of wisdom?
I would say, no matter how hard it feels right now, don't give up. It's always darkest before the dawn. And that if you are feeling like you're being tested, meaning things feel really tough, it's because you are. And who you will become and what you will create on the other side of that test, on the other side of that challenge, will make you and the people around you that love you the most so proud of you. And so just keep moving forward. Learn from the lessons that are presenting themselves as challenge, and just keep moving forward, keep creating. Every day, every moment, regardless of the past, is a blank canvas and a new opportunity to create something. So approach your life from, what can I create that I have never created before? And trust yourself to bring something into existence, whether that's more money, success, relationships, love, or opportunities. Trust yourself to create and manifest that into existence. And Claudio, I want to acknowledge you as a friend, as a brother, as your coach, for being the giver that you are, for being incredibly creative, for being generous in the way where you have cultivated a team, and also being courageous enough to not just invest financially in yourself, but to invest your life energy in creating something remarkable with your life.
Thank you, Ryan.
And you're doing just that. You are truly creating an extraordinary experience for the people that get the opportunity and the privilege to work with you and to be in relationship with you. So I commend you and acknowledge you for your growth and for your hunger and for your dedication to this path, because it's not easy and you show up every day.
It's not, even what you said just now, like every time we bring it to the next level, there's so much challenges that come, right? Whether there's just a lot of challenges, right? To really, to do things big, it takes big effort. And so even that right there just really resonated with me. And I'm sure if anyone, is in the same position, it resonated with them as well. So Ryan, thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your time. And thank you for just being a great go-getter and a great entrepreneur that can bring so much value to the listeners. So
Absolutely.
Ryan, it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. Could I add one more thing that we could add into it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And those challenges that you talk about, I know it's been a big difference between navigating those challenges without a coach and with a coach. And there's a lot of people out there that are trying to do it on their own. And I would also say, like, you are worthy of, I would say the listener, you're worthy of reaching out to a coach. You're worthy of being supported so that you don't have to navigate those challenges alone.
Yeah.
Because like when you're in that darkness, it's so tough. But when you have somebody that you can connect with and share and open up, that can support you and guide you, it can turn a breakdown that's 4 days or weeks into a moment.
Yeah.
And you can get through it that much faster.
Yeah, you helped me. I remember the other day we were on the phone and I said, everything is happening. What's my next move? You said breakdown or breakthrough. As you said, you can have a breakdown, you can have a breakthrough. And I chose to have a breakthrough, and that's why we're here in California. Took a huge risk, to really just to leave, Florida and to just continue with everything that's going on in the back end. It's a lot of work. So, but to anybody listening, Ryan is really an incredible coach. And if you're looking to bring your life to the next level, whether you're a realtor, photographer, or anybody that really just wants to go to the next level, Ryan's incredible. So Ryan,
thank you.
Thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for sharing, your wisdom, and really, you're just an incredible coach. And it was a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Claudio. Appreciate you, brother.
For sure.
Thanks.